Because none of this really matters.
The only thing that throws me off is
Because none of this.
Oh yeah. At the very So what's up, man?
What is going on?
Introduce us. Start the episode.
Don't
episode...
say it. Oh, I thought you was gonna say it.
Episode 82. Episode 82. None of this really matters. We're 20 weeks away, or 22 weeks away from 2 years. 18 episodes away from 100.
Wild.
No.
We've done this for 82 weeks. This is insane. Why? This is crazy.
Once you start, you're like, might as well fucking keep going.
All right, but this episode, Menda, it's Halloween. It's about to be Halloween.
About to be Halloween.
Are you gonna be
Days away.
for Halloween your costume? All right, let's restart the episode.
What did that happen?
I'm gonna be Winifred, one of the Sanderson sisters.
From Hocus Pocus.
Yes.
Bette Midler.
Yes.
So when you bought that costume, you were like, "That's it."
This is
a
it.
couple years.
Oh yeah. First of all, the costume was like $60.
From where? Spirit.
Spirit.
So we were just overpriced.
Plus, I had to get the wig and
The teeth.
So that was like.
That was like extra.
Yeah.
So the costume what you bought for $60 was just the clothes.
Yes. The hot ass dress. It's like.
Somebody literally did put that thing
It's
together.
real velvet. Yeah.
That's insane.
It's
I
legit.
don't know what I'm gonna be. I don't have a costume yet. I don't know. I might be. We were watching New Girl last night, me and Tatiana, and we were. It was one of the Halloween episodes, and where Nick was wearing the white shirt and it says Arthur on it. I could just do that last minute, but.
Oh my gosh.
I'm good. When he was on edibles, I'm good.
Are you gonna be anything, Rob? Are you gonna be a priest again?
No.
Or a scary priest, I should say.
I didn't think about it this year.
That'd be insane.
I might just be a regular priest this year.
Just regular.
I'm gonna just carry my Bible.
With an all black.
Or I can carry my Tanakh and be like, I'm a converted priest. I'm Jewish now.
There's no limit.
And then that.
Oh my gosh. It's funny because I drive down 7th Street every day.
On 7th Street?
And you know they
In
look
Glendale.
like priests. They look just, if I just take the cross off and carry it to Tanakh, Orthodox.
So everybody's
You could
going to
just do
temple. All of them.
Every Saturday. Today, they're doing it.
I'm gonna convert one day.
Just to do it.
You see everybody with their top hats and their super, super long beards. And then you...
She said top hat. That's hilarious.
Keep
and
going.
then...
Please. What do they look like, Menda? I'm gonna cry. I'm about to tear it up. Keep going.
And you see the you see the boys in like slacks and like white shirts and suspenders, and then they have their
curls?
yeah,
I don't know.
and
There's
they're
probably a
real
name for them.
long.
Two girls.
They got them bouncing too. It looks wet, but it's dry.
Yeah, right.
They be putting that. They be pressing me in that bitch and trying to curl it hard.
Gosh.
It's crazy.
Can I get my Jew curl hard, please?
Damn. Like I think Chico DeBarge. Like DeBarge. But instead of all over,
Dripping.
just one. Or two on both sides. But anyways, what's up, man? What's going on with you? What have you done this week for the pod?
Payos.
That's what they're called. The
Yes.
curls.
The side curls are called payos.
So yeah, their
yarmulkes.
payos were
What if we're just Jewish for
out.
Halloween?
Lit.
Just a Jewish
We
family.
just walk up and down 7th Street.
And be like, shalom.
Just say it to everybody.
Oh, Menda.
It was.
Menda and Rob, any movies this week?
I know I did. It's been horror movies. I watched
I honestly haven't watched a lot.
it was on HBO Max. I mean, you talking about a shit T movie? God damn, it pissed me off. It had old girl from Kong.
I watched. Did we already talked about it. Barbarian?
You didn't talk about it. You said we need to go see it.
Barbarian.
Night House.
Me and Tatiana. Oh, I heard that wasn't that good.
God damn, when you talking about something bad, it was like it had the Gothica thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
okay.
and then it had like these inklings of like 13 Ghosts where like he built the house for a certain reason. So you're like, oh, it's like a supernatural house because he believes in witchcraft. And then it has like inklings of like any serial killer. It's just all over the fucking place. It doesn't. I know you're not supposed to like pick a thing, but it's like, are you supernatural? Is this like some kind of thriller? Like, what the fuck is happening? And none of that goes down. I'm just gonna. I'm not. Yeah, never mind. It's just.
I have seen it.
The ending, you're like, oh, that's it. Like that's it. That's the end. That's what the ending does. You're like, terrible movie.
What movie was it where it ended and I was like, wait, what?
You just talked about it too.
I forgot. There was a movie where I was like, wait, really? That's it? I forgot what movie.
This was
no. It was what was it? Maybe it was Pearl, because I watched Pearl and Smile in theaters.
Oh, you
did I
did?
talk about this?
You never
No.
talked about. Everybody keeps saying Smile is a great movie.
It's, to me, it's not great.
Not great. They said it's scary.
It's scary.
Okay,
for
if
sure.
it's scary, then that's great for like a horror movie.
But it's effective.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Let me. I'm not gonna give it a full review because it's like I watched Pearl and Smile and then
Pearl a horror movie?
Yeah, it's like a It's more psychological. It's not like it's more crazy because it's about a person that's like insane, like killing people and shit. And but Smile, it's just so many. What I didn't like, it was effective because it was like jump scares. Oh, the whole movie. And then at a certain point, I was like annoying because I was still scared. I was
Did
still
it start
like
with jump scares?
I was still like watching in theaters. I was by myself, and I watched it in the. Another mistake, I watched it in the Dolby theater.
So it was like everything like.
Right.
And I was like, God damn it. And so, but it was an okay story. It was cool. I guess I would have to watch it again, maybe at home. But like, what I remember is it just being jump scares. The story was okay. It wasn't the most. You know what the story was? It was basically like It Follows. It was basically the same thing, but like a lot of horror movies are the same as other horror movies. So it's not. I'm not gonna bag on it for being like another movie. Yeah. But it was just kind of like jump scare. It was like it's one of those movies where if you go see it in theater, like date night kind of thing, and you want to go see a scary movie, perfect.
Okay.
It's the perfect like, oh, let's go see a scary movie. And it's like you're gonna be scared. It's a cool, crazy story, and people are like, I remember the Mallory Bros were actually talking about Smile because I think both of them went to go see it, and or like, I'm not gonna like reiterate their podcast on here, but it was just like saying, like one of them like had to take a shit in the middle of the movie, so he didn't really get to see it, but I think one of them was saying that it was crazy, which I kind of, there's a little part of me that thinks this, but he was saying that it makes like smiling, not this like to the point where it's like seeing someone smile like makes me scared. It's more of just like every time I smile, a part of me thinks of it, where I'm just like, I just like a little hint, and I'm like, this is crazy, but. One thing is, it's just like, this isn't a lot of horror movies, but what Smile made me do is just like, if I'm in the dark, there is that, you know, in the horror movies where it's like you see a silhouette and you turn on the lights and it's gone. It was like shit like that where it's like, what if I see something, I turn it on and it's like gone. I've always thought, so when I'm walking around in the dark around the house at night, I'm like, fucking check, especially in the garage, doing laundry, I'm like, fuck.
Justin. The laundry in the garage is hilarious to me. There's 2 6-foot men. Have y'all put the light back in yet?
No. There's no lights in the garage for the people listening.
Yeah,
And it's been that way since we lived here, I think.
There's no
It's
zero
like
lights.
progressively gotten like
Worse.
basically to nothing.
Because you could turn it on, but it's like the dimmest.
It was
the
dim.
absolute.
You'll be more scared. It hurts your eyes.
And then it was like the scary hospital type
Yeah.
where it was like flickering and it was like gray.
Because when you guys moved here 4 years ago, there was some dim to that.
Yeah, it was already dimming at the point. Yeah.
And then, but now it's like you turn it on. You know it's on. You can see it's on, but it doesn't light up shit.
You like flicking the light on and off. You wouldn't really.
So, but we do have like a floor lamp in there.
It's like no fun.
But the fucked up thing is the floor
Put
lamp.
a floor lamp in the fucking laundry room.
We put a floor lamp in there, but
That thing is bright though.
it's bright as fuck. But what's stupid is, now that I'm thinking about it, we have it all the way back there.
You don't even have it at the front.
I don't know why. I don't think there's an outlet on that side of the by the door. I don't
It's
know.
like when you speak, I'll be like, oh, I give her so much grace when I hear about the stuff that y'all do. I'll be like, Jesus Christ, Amanda, why do you do that?
Yeah, I don't.
That's
because
exactly what she would
I
do.
don't know.
I'll be like, why'd you put it all on the other side? I'm like, I don't know.
It's like Charlie from Always Sunny. It's just like why do you live like this?
Why make your life harder? Why do you do this? Amanda sets her alarm every night.
Hmm. Yeah, I do too.
You don't just put it on Monday through Friday.
No, part of me just doesn't believe in that. I don't like
It
it.
really defeats the purpose of technology. You might as well just buy an alarm clock.
I should.
I should.
I might
I've
actually
thought about
wake
it.
You know
up.
what?
I've thought about it.
You don't have to set those every night either.
I probably set my phone too.
I've
Just
set
in
mine
case.
too. I was like, what if this shit doesn't go off? I don't know. Part of
It's
me,
trust issues.
Yeah, that's anxiety, y'all.
no, I'm like, I set it so it's gonna go off every night. I don't know.
Until y'all scroll the PM by accident.
Well, now I just click on the alarms
Yeah,
that
the
I have.
on off. Because like when you turn it off, you turn off the alarm when it goes off in the morning, and then later that night you do it. But somehow I remember to do it every night. It's just a habit now. But anyways, I can't. I don't have Instagram on my phone. My phone isn't letting me download any apps. So now like I can't have Instagram.
What do you mean it's
I
not
tried
letting you?
re-downloading it like a few days ago. I have to go on the website if I need to go on it. If I need to like,
What?
yeah.
You have to
Why
update
wouldn't
your
you
phone.
download it?
It's like something about it's like payment thing, like Apple Pay or some shit.
Did you did something not go through?
I think something didn't go through.
Apple gonna be playing. They're gonna be like, no, you can't download shit till you give us what you owe us.
I think I like
Especially
my
if it's
Apple
like
Music.
an old like card or something that just don't like it's deactivated.
Yeah, I
They don't
think.
play that.
But the thing is like I put in, I don't know, my card's in there still. I don't know. It's weird.
You have to go through like
Delete
your
the card and then put the card back on.
yeah,
And it's not letting me delete the card.
or go through your downloads.
Oh, that's wild.
So it's like,
That's weird.
yeah. But
Yeah,
now,
that just sounds like a glitch.
yeah, I'll go to like an Apple store.
Yeah, update your
They
phone.
suck, man.
I haven't been. We went to an Apple store.
The Apple people, they're such douchebags now. They used to be nice. Now they're like, oh, you don't know? It's like, no, bitch, I don't work at this
That's
bar.
why I'm here.
Yeah, like what the fuck? Like you're annoyed. I'm asking you to do your fucking job. You loser. You want to sell me $200 headphones? That's what you want to do, dickhead.
They do have those programs there, like those events and shit like that at the Apple store. I know at Fashion Square they do.
Yeah.
Like drawing.
And that the one at Fashion Square be like, you weren't. Did I take you that day? It was a
When-
day I went and I was like, oh, there's an event and people actually come to these things.
Yeah, when we went, there was like kids. There was like a class of like drawing on the, what do you call it? The whatever app there is with the iPads.
That's those types of parents.
Yeah.
Those parents are like the ones who are like everything is free. Like they'll do whatever is free.
Yeah.
Because then their kids like doing anything they didn't have to spend no
And it was during summertime.
Yeah.
So I think it was,
Mhm.
that was a big thing. So, yeah.
So fuck you, Apple, but I love you, Apple. But fuck
Yeah, shout out
you.
to Apple for making everything a little bit easier.
Right.
Except when something doesn't work, it's hard as fuck.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they
To, like,
obviously,
yeah.
they're like, yeah, fuck you.
But anyways, I haven't watched a lot of movies. The only one I watched was I watched 2 movies like at home which was American Gigolo with Richard Gere, which was like cool. I haven't seen that movie in years. But
that was my first time watching it.
It was about a guy who's a male prostitute, and he is accused of murder because an older lady that he slept with died, and that lady's husband is accusing him, and his next client that he did after is like falling for him, and he's just like a sad boy. But it's a
and the husband killed the wife, right?
Yeah,
that was obvious.
It was obvious when
Never seen the movie.
When Richard Gere was with the old lady that died, and the husband's like, "No, I'ma watch, and you go be with her," and he was like, "Nah, slap her, choke her."
Yeah, he was
like
being
beat the shit out of her.
He was being a cuck.
Oh, he set him up, beat her, so then.
I mean, you don't see any of that. You just see him talking. Right. And then, because Richard Gere is like, "Oh, I'll take care of you, baby. I'll take care of you." You know, just like trying to sweet talk her and stuff. And the husband
in the back is like, slap her.
Yeah. Treat her like shit.
Yeah.
Terrible.
It's a cool movie. It's vibes. There's a lot of 80s vibes.
Yeah, definitely 80s vibes.
Synthy scores, driving convertibles.
He's learning like all kinds of languages. At the time he's learning like Swedish.
You know, somebody just talked about that. They were like, as far as decades go, they were like the 70s sucked for like everything. No fire movies, no fire music.
Whoa!
Compared to 80s and compared to the 60s.
No.
No.
You're wrong.
I don't know any fire movies from the 70s. I don't like anything.
You just...
No.
You're insane.
Can't think of any movie from this. Maybe if you named it, I'd be like, oh yeah, that's
Godfather
that's cool.
1, 2, Apocalypse Now, Halloween.
Are those late 70s going into the 80s? 78, 79?
Godfather 1 and 2 is 72, 75. Taxi Driver is 76. There's 78 is Halloween. 77.
I'll give it 78 and after. Name fire music from the 70s.
From the 70s?
Disco was created in the 70s, remember that.
Stevie Wonder, Marvin Gaye.
Stevie Wonder was already super popping by
But
then.
like Music of My Mind, that album came out in the 70s. Marvin Gaye, like every Marvin Gaye album pretty much.
Yeah. Compare that to the 60s and the 80s though.
What movies came out? Like a lot of great movies came out in every decade though. Like you can't say
numbers.
70s.
That's like the 40s. I would even give the 40s over the goddamn 70s. The 40s and the 50s, fire. The 20s.
40s and 50s, what? Everything?
Yeah.
That's yeah.
I'm not saying this 70s as far as like decades of like influence. You're like,
that was a.
The 60s was like
70s is
Motown.
When,
but that's like height of Motown. That's height of the fucking wars. 70s was a lot of war too. A lot of people were sad in the 70s.
A lot of people were sad in the 40s.
That's fair though. That was the Great Depression.
And World War II.
Exactly. That's fair to be
the
sad
70s,
about.
Okay, let me say it to you. The Godfather, Taxi Driver, Star Wars, Clockwork Orange, Jaws, Apocalypse Now, The Exorcist, Carrie, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Grease, Rocky, Chinatown, Dog Day Afternoon, Willy Wonka, fucking The Deer Hunter, The Conversation, Mad Max, Mean Streets. There's Dawn of the Dead.
You know, a lot of those movies, I thought they came out in the 80s, so I didn't know that. Their aesthetic, like, that's Mad Max.
The Warriors.
I was like, that's 80s. Warriors, that's 70s for sure. That's
Mad Max is 70s.
That's crazy to me. I didn't know that. That I thought was
Close
like
Encounters
81.
of the Third Kind. Alien.
Right, Rocky 2.
When was Alien?
Alien was 79.
Yeah. I'll give that 80s.
Young Frankenstein.
Young Frankenstein, Saturday Night Fever, The Brood, Escape from Alcatraz. These are all bangers.
Not to me.
These are all bangers.
None of those movies interest me.
Marathon Man, Blue Collar,
Except for Mad Max.
Animal House.
And Rocky.
Escape
Rocky,
from
of
Alcatraz.
course.
Shaft. Yeah, this is all fire. Everybody that likes movies will disagree with you.
That's fine.
And that'll be fine to you. But saying
really
70s was like 70s is inferior to 80s is insane.
No.
Because some of the greatest movies of all time came out in the 70s.
Your greatest. Those movies are...
No,
most of
the
those are
greatest,
like,
according to
those
everybody.
movies,
Like The Godfather and The Godfather
according
2
to
and
movie
Taxi
snobs,
Driver.
it's like,
That's
yeah,
what I'm
we
saying.
love those
Everybody will
movie
disagree
snobs.
with you.
Yeah, that's
but
fine.
like your favorite movies probably came out in the 80s and 90s.
Not even just
Right.
that. I like movies from the 60s too more than the 70s. I like movies from the 40s more than the 70s. I just didn't. The 70s to
Then
me
that's
is like
fine,
a
but saying that
like
they're like
decade.
not as good is insane.
It's my opinion. It's like I could say it's not good. It's like,
Shaft
it's not
came
insane. It's like I don't like those movies.
Shaft came out in 71.
70s for me is like the gold. That's the golden era
Yeah.
of like movies.
They
There's
make-
never,
they
there will
definitely
never because
leveling
it's
up.
such a like unique and distinctive time.
Because nobody knew what was going on. That's what everybody was trying something new. Fair enough.
And it was such a unique time, and no movies that were made at that time, even movies, there would be no movies like that ever. Like the mentality that everybody had in the 70s that led like for the stories to be told like that and the actors to make the decisions that they made and the producers to make all the decisions that they made. It's like it was a perfect storm of just like every single movie that was made was perfect. And it fucking when Hollywood was going down the drain in the 60s, and then they started production companies were just like, let's just give these young dudes opportunities. All in the 70s, and that's how you got Scorsese, Spielberg, fucking De Palma, and all of them.
Right.
George Lucas making everybody.
But to that
all in
point, at the
70s.
end of the 70s, like late 70s, you have like Jaws 2,
Jaws was 75.
Star Wars. You know what I mean?
Jaws was 75, and Star Wars was 77, and Godfather 1 was 72, and Godfather 2 was 75 or 76. So it's like from mid to late 70s was like the movies that like everybody making movies today has watched when they were kids, and they were like, oh, okay, like that was inspiration. So like I think a lot of the great movies that are great like in the past 10 15 years are all inspired by movies that came out in the 70s, or like
I can see that.
70% of them. That's why I think the 70s are the golden era. This fucking conversation came out of nowhere.
No, I said a dude from a podcast said he hated the 70s. I was like, I agree. I was like, I just didn't like nothing.
Who said that?
I can't remember. I think it was Bobby Kelly, maybe. And he's an old guy. He was like, I didn't like the 70s, and I was raised in the 70s.
That's tripping to me.
Yeah.
I
That's
think
why
to a lot of people that's tripping.
Yeah, but I mean, a lot of those movies, again, those movies you just named, I wasn't raised on them. So it's just like, when people be like, these are great, I watch them like, this shit is boring to me. It's like The Godfather, I can see why people loved it, but it's 3 hours. It's fucking boring. It's like, it's not a bad movie, but it's like, fucking Jesus Christ. My family has to stop. We have to stop the whole night. Like, hey, Godfather's coming on. We got to sit down and was like, nigga, we've been here for 3.5 hours. The memories I have of that movie aren't like positive. They're like,
This is
whatever.
crazy talk. This
To
is,
you, but
yeah.
it's just like, those movies are boring to me. I told y'all how I feel about movies. Like, I don't need to hear you talking about regular life stuff. That's what the 70s was like, hey, we're talking about regular stuff. It's like, nigga, don't nobody want to hear that bullshit. Nobody want to hear you talking about regular life, nigga. I live this shit every day. I want to hear you talk about driving all day. It's like, cool, dude. Hey, we went to war. It's like, yeah, everybody was at fucking war, dude. Cool, man. Now give me some shit where there's some lasers and we're blowing shit up, and then people are talking about
like Star Wars that came out in the 70s.
Late 70s.
77?
Anything after 5 of whatever decade is late that. So anything
You
75 and
can't say
later.
that's not 70s.
I didn't say that. I said I'll give it 70s. I said I'll give you the late 70s. Anything before that, you said The Godfather. I was like, doesn't move me. Taxi Driver doesn't move me. It just doesn't. It's just
I don't even
like,
know how to move on. That's like
you
attack.
gotta learn how to have discourse. Like, not everybody's gonna like everything that everybody. Just because movie stop saying like these guys, they're the guys. It's like no, but everybody didn't like it
Sure,
back
like
then.
you could not like it, but me hearing, I'm saying me hearing. it.
Yeah, I mean that's crazy, but it's like yeah, I just don't. And none of that regular stuff. Like when people are doing like regular life stuff, I'm like this shit is boring to me. Like blow something up. Not even blow something up. Do something smart. Don't just be regular.
The God.
He was a monster.
Yeah. Oh, it smell like fart.
It's probably her.
But
I'm not saying it's a terrible movie. I'm not even saying it's a bad movie. It just be like, people like, oh, we're going to go watch The Godfather. I wouldn't go out my way. I'm like, all right, cool, man. Great.
I'd probably watch Scarface before I watch The Godfather.
Definitely watch Scarface while I watch The Godfather. Definitely watch The Scarface while I watch The Godfather.
Because it's so long.
Definitely watch
It's
Scarface while I watch The
Scarface is long.
Yeah, but there's more of
It's like a
like
whole hour less, ain't it?
It's like 2.5 hours.
And Godfather is what, like 3.5 hours?
Just 3.
it doesn't feel like that. I think it's because like Marlon Brando, like the way his character is, he's very like slow talking. He has a drawl to his voice, and he talks really low. Like especially at that time, as we're probably watching it and I'm a kid, I'm asleep because this is boring to me.
Yeah.
Well, as I got older, I respected Marlon Brando. I was like, this nigga is acting his ass off.
Right.
Yeah,
But
I was
the
about
movie
to say.
Yeah.
I was about
is
to-
boring.
I was
When
like,
you-
Marlon Brando. You talking about Marlon
The
Brando?
movie is boring. I'm not talking about like the story. I'll be like, whatever. When somebody's acting, though, I can be like, oh, this nigga's acting his ass off.
Yeah.
I'm not taking shit from Marlon Brando or anybody who was acting back then. You was but fucking
He was butt fucking.
You just had to take that, didn't you?
I
Because I'm not gonna lie, when you said it, I thought you were just saying it, and I was like, oh, that was like a double layer joke. That was like, Marlon Brando was acting his ass off. I'll give him that.
I think
and what's his name? I can't think. Fucking Luke Skywalker. What is his name?
Mark Hamill.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Like them niggas was acting.
They were like, "Whoa, Obi." That's my Mark Hamill.
Oh my gosh. I think you don't have the same appreciation you do. First of all, I don't understand anything that's going on in the storyline as a 5-year-old, 10-year-old.
I mean, Godfather is a
But
pretty.
I mean, Nate saw it when he was.
well, that's
But
what I'm
you
saying.
were older. Did y'all watch it when you were a kid?
And Godfather, first time I watched it, I was probably like 12.
Oh, that's not fair.
Perfect.
We were like, I remember being swear like 6 or 7 because it would come on TV sometimes, and it would take up a whole block of shows. It'd be like, nah, Godfather's coming on tonight. My father'd be like, everybody come.
Yeah, Godfather on TV
Like,
must have taken up a
Jesus.
minute.
Yeah.
So I think even in that sense, I think stuff from the 70s, maybe it's not the movie I don't like. It's just like my parents were raised in the 70s, so they were teenagers at the time. So everything to them was like, this is a great movie, and I would watch it. My father loved Taxi Driver. What's it called? Taxi Driver. He loved that movie.
Yeah.
And I would be like...
Taxi is the one with
or
Jimmy
like,
Fallon and Queen
That's the
Latifah.
one. I forgot. That's also a banger, too.
That's a bang.
It is. But Taxi Driver, my father loved that movie. I'd be like, Tombstone, can't stand it. And you said, we talked about it. You're like, I don't understand why. I'm like, dude, because when parents make shit boring, that's what it is. Like, that's just being honest.
A lot of times when parents force movies on you.
Oh, yeah.
You're like,
Maybe that's what it really is. Maybe I don't not like those movies. It's just like, nigga, Superfly again? God damn, Dad. Come on, man.
Because, a lot of times when parents force movies, like, you gotta watch this, you gotta watch this.
You don't appreciate it. You're like, well, I don't.
And then you just, like, sitting there forced to watch it when you're not, like... Because how I watched all of these movies, I was just like, oh, this was, like... I was kind of like, I need to watch it. I myself was like, I need to watch it.
right. But when you're a kid and you're like, oh, we're watching Young Guns and then Young Guns 2. And I'm like, 7th grade, like, I just want to go in
But if you leave, then they're mad at
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
You're like, you're walking out on greatness, and you're like, nigga.
Oh, it was either that or clean.
I'll
So
watch
I
Terminator.
was
It's
like,
you can't show me
just go
Terminator.
watch a movie again.
You can't show me Terminator 2 and then be like, this is good. It'd be like, come on now, man.
Yeah.
Terminator 2, that's not fair.
It's not fair.
That is not a fair
But
comparison.
you guys, that's like that's like when I was like 7 or 8. Then it was like the 80s movies was still kind of like popping at the time. Like still like, yeah, this shit gonna come on TV.
80s movies.
Any 80s movies was like,
We were watching.
that's why I
every
consider
80s.
Alien an 80s movie because I felt like
Because
that,
Aliens and Alien 3 and
Yeah.
for the
rolled
longest,
over.
that was just like the 80s. Aliens ran the 80s. Like 1, 2, 2, 3.
Ooh, Amanda. What's up, y'all? Well, good thing that's cut out. We'll cut that out.
I never had a heart attack like that. I didn't know what
That
you
scared
knocked
me.
over.
I didn't know what
I
it
didn't know
was.
what was happening, but it just made me anxious. But I feel like you just knocked the whole table over when you did that.
Yeah, I was like, Amanda, what the fuck?
That's why everybody was like, damn.
It was
But-
just the plastic straws. I mean,
But,
Yeah,
stir-
Bobby Kelly said it, so I was like, I kind of agree with him. So I was like, let me bring it up on the pod to have something to discourse about.
To make Nate mad.
Yeah.
Exactly.
No, I...
Because that's how you get the best out of people. That's how you get the fervor.
Yeah, I wonder if... I think after this episode, Tatiana's be like, when Rob said that, I felt you...
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, yes, good.
But, yeah, for me, that's a whole... That's like...
I think
if
it,
you watch it on
I think
your
it's
own,
your-
you popped in the tape or the DVD on your own,
yeah,
and then you're like, I've committed to
because
this.
Right.
there's also how yours there are definitely movies that were ahead of their time in the way their 78 and 79 roll into the 80s, but there's also movies that were made in 1980 and 81 that have like the DNA of the 70s.
Oh yeah.
And that's why I was like, even that like 70 to 80, 78 to 82 are always like
Those are
weird
some of
times
the
for me.
craziest. Yeah.
That like 4 years, like just with music, that's like the beginning of hip hop,
That's
the
where you
beginning of rock
get
and roll.
every-
Like that's like
From 78 to 82, movies that come to my head are Blade Runner, The Thing.
These are like bangers.
I think Blade Runner and The Thing came out on the same day, if I'm not
Wow.
mistaken.
You're giving me goosebumps talking about those movies. So that's why when I was like, I didn't know those came out in the 70s. I always attributed those to like 80 and later on because they were so like, first of all, Blade Runner and The Thing, technologically, back then,
That's insane.
that was like, it was.
I just
it was
watched.
shitting
We were
on
actually
fucking-
watching
Blade Runner was shitting on Star Wars effects wise.
effects wise. Yes,
It
like
was
like
shitting on
scope,
Star
like what
Wars.
they
They-
tried. Because when you watch Blade Runner, you're like, yeah, these effects are crazy. Because neither of them. So like CGI, there's zero.
Zero.
Except for in Star Wars, there's the only CGI is the computer screen at the end of the movie when there's the little. It shows like a little map
I
almost
didn't even know
like of the
CGI
ship.
existed back then.
That's the only piece of CGI in Star Wars is at the end of the movie. It's like a little, I forgot exactly what was on the screen. I'm sure a hardcore. I'm sure Domingo and Faustino would be like, it's that part.
Right.
But Blade Runner, as far as like the
And
the
the
setting that Blade Runner did was way more advanced than like what Star Wars.
Yeah.
Star Wars. I mean, George Lucas's goal in Star Wars was
Yes.
to make it this huge, like planet to planet, like ships. He was trying to make this huge epic saga
Right.
movie.
Trying to do what he did in episode 1.
Yeah.
Where you're like, from
Where
planet
it's
to
just
planet.
like insane.
Yeah.
And which is like takes crazy vision, which they hope made documentaries and documentaries.
Yeah.
And fucking hella sequels and video games. Like that's how big Star Wars was. And then Blade Runner, Ridley Scott was like the god. He still is. Like the Last Duel it's not bad at all. I the first time I watched it, I was like, this isn't that cool. But then I rewatched it and I was like, Ben Affleck, he kind of took over the whole fucking Ben Affleck took over the whole movie.
Right, but like that was the beginning of like The Shining,
And also Matt Damon.
and then Indiana Jones was 1980.
And I
19
just watched that for the first time this year, and I was like, God damn, this is a good movie.
The
Like,
Shining?
No, The Shining, of course. That was also the first time watching it this year was The Shining. and I said, "Oh my God, this is one of the greatest movies ever."
Mm-hmm.
What did you say before that?
Indiana Jones.
Indiana Jones.
I also thought I wouldn't like that movie, and I was like, "This is why it had 4 rides at Universal Studios."
Indiana Jones, the first Raiders of the Lost Ark, is literally one of the craziest movies. It's so it's the perfect movie.
Kept my attention the entire time in the year 2022.
You know how much of a genius Spielberg is? He's the one who created the formula of a blockbuster. He was like, I need an action set piece every 10 minutes. Mm-hmm. And he was like, I want these people watching my movie. And I was like, fucking Spielberg. He started attention span diminishing.
Yeah.
He started that. That's how you get Avengers 2. We watched Age of Ultron the other day. Right out the gate.
Yeah.
They're like, we're just going to give y'all the heavy hitters right out the gate.
Yeah, all of them.
Everyone in one scene.
That was one of the first times I think they were like, because Avengers, they was like, build up. Let's get Hulk. Let's get this guy. Let's get them all together. But
that took 30 minutes, by the way. If you watch Avengers 1, you're like, this is actually slow compared to
what we got now. Compared to like Captain or some shit.
Literally just a regular movie is slower than those now.
Yeah, but like you watch the Iron Man. If you watch the first Iron Man, you're like, he doesn't become Iron Man till the end of the movie.
Not until he actually fights Obadiah.
When he has the suit, the first suit.
The very first suit.
And then, which is the coolest one, I feel like. But
that took hard work. Now you just do this, and then it's...
He has the wrist, neck, the
thing.
What do you call it? Bracelet.
He taps it real quick.
But
or the suitcase from 2 when he steps
that
inside
was the
the suitcase.
one.
I love the suitcase one.
I think Iron Man 2 is one of the cooler ones.
Because that's when War Machine shows up.
That's when Don Cheadle shows up.
And they had a fight inside of the garden thing, the atrium, against the drones.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And then Iron Man 3 was like the sad one, right?
Oh yeah, it was. That he had PTSD.
Yeah,
that movie made me cry.
That was a crazy fucking one.
I feel that for my boys, my brothers, and ours.
Yeah, the 80s. Okay, now that I'm looking at a list of the 80s movies, these are the movies which is what it is, are all fun movies where you watch them and you're like, this is a good time.
I like having a good time. Your boy like having a good time. I like the party.
So let me see.
All right.
They got The Shining first, which is scary. Back to the Future.
Mm-hmm.
Greatest ride at Universal. There's the reason why I love the 80s. Universal Studios got me, boy.
They have both Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. Raiders of the Lost Ark. They have, probably one of the greatest. It is one of the greatest action movies of all time. Die Hard. Top Gun.
The Thing.
Top Gun.
Full Metal Jacket. E.T. Ghostbusters.
Full Metal.
Beetlejuice. Aliens.
I stand by my statement.
80s over the 70s?
I stand by my statement. 80s over the 70s.
Batman.
This is a crazy comparison.
The Fly. Do the Right Thing. Evil Dead 2.
Because
they're all completely, fair enough to you, they're all completely different types of movies. They're completely different movies. But those are all my favorite movies. Everyone you just named. The Fly.
Videodrome. RoboCop. Rain
The Fly
Man.
and that was like Cronenberg.
I was like,
RoboCop? Dude, you never saw practical effects like that in RoboCop. The makeup in RoboCop.
The Karate Kid.
You got Scanners in there too, and Christine.
Child's Play.
I can't even contain myself right
Rambo.
now. I feel like Nate right now. Oh.
Halloween 2.
You got Children of the Corn.
So basically,
they do got Caddyshack.
Basically Halloween is the 80s.
All of the Breakfast Club movies. I call them all the Breakfast Club movies.
16 Candles.
They got The Running Man.
Dirty Dancing.
The Running
Dirty
Man.
Dancing.
It's fire.
But you see these movies,
and they're all not even close to the 70s movies.
Big, Dune, Escape from New York, Big Trouble, Spinal Tap.
Nate's face has got this like...
Mad Max 2.
Because you like those movies too. That's what it is. Nate's like, I love those movies too.
Right, the fog scanners.
Because like if I go to so the year 19.
But Nate's different though. You are an aficionado of movies. You're an artiste, but you're one of the few who respects those other kinds of movies.
If you watch, because I love blockbusters.
Most people like you don't like blockbusters.
Like, you watch, so the year 1980. This is honestly a good conversation we're having, so I can like tell the people. The year 1980 had all 70s vibes, because when you watch Brian De Palma's Dressed to Kill, that was a 70s movie.
Those were all like straight to VHS movies.
And when you watch, like when you watch American Gigolo, that's a 70s movie. It has 80s vibes.
It has 80s vibes, though.
Set up the 80s because of how influential it was for the West, because of that's how good it was. By the way, American Gigolo was directed and written by Paul Schrader, who wrote Taxi Driver. And then the year 1980 also had Maniac and Cruising, which were like New York City horror.
Love those movies too.
So all these like Italian style that me and Josh were talking about, the Giallo films, the Italian style horror was all bleeding into the 80s, the 70s and 80s.
Right.
And that's why you have Halloween and Friday the 13th. You have Inferno, Dressed to Kill. Like all of these movies go in, and you also have Terror Train. That's like the success from Jamie Lee Curtis going into the 80s, where she's doing shit like Terror Train and Prom Night and shit like that.
Blue Lagoon.
Oh.
And then you have like Thief and shit like that, like the 70s crime movies that were made in the early 80s, where you have those instruments like Altered States and Thief, where it's like the synthy where the streets are wet and you use payphones and shit like that.
That was dirty, nigga. Yeah, it's grimy. That's the 80s. Yeah.
And you go to 81. You have like Blowout, The Evil Dead, American Werewolf in London, which we just watched.
I love American Werewolf in London.
That shit's honestly
wild.
Isn't that terrifying?
Wild.
We were watching
that movie is scary as shit.
I was into it. I was liking it a lot. It's good.
That's the best one. That's the best one.
The Wolf Attack
is
the wildest shit in the world.
And we were both goosebumps.
Literally, because I haven't seen it since
that movie started my love of werewolves.
When Titi was living here. Me and Titi watched it together, and that's the last time I watched it. But then I was watching it with Tatiana, and that first wolf attack, I was like...
And it's the noises that they make.
And it like keeps going. It's like a minute long of straight attack. And I'm like, holy shit, this is crazy.
But him turning, there was no effects like that.
That's Rick Baker did that. Rick Baker also did, we just said one of his movies.
We did. When you said his name, I was like, we just talked about him.
Rick Baker, Star Wars. He also did Men in Black. He also did Videodrome. He did all the Men in Blacks, I should say.
Shout out to him.
Come on now.
Rick Baker did all the Star Wars movies. He did Nutty Professor.
My God.
Yeah, look up Rick Baker's shit.
Rick Baker.
He did the Wolfman, the new one.
What do we call him? What is he? His special effects?
Yeah, he's like makeup effects.
He's an actor too. They call him an actor. Maybe he's done.
He might be in one of them.
Yeah, he's probably. He did the Wolfman.
He did Tim Burton's Planet of the Apes movie. The Marky Mark.
He did
Marky Mark.
Gremlins.
He
did the Nutty Professor.
Yeah. Just
Planet of the Apes.
Like costume and all of that. Facial prosthetics.
Yeah, he does a lot of prosthetics. He did Michael Jackson's Thriller.
I was just about to say it out of my mouth, and that was the game buzzer. You talking about a nigga who influenced literal people? Was like, we gotta start making movies as music videos now because of Rick Baker.
Yeah,
that's why you got Beyonce
and
Bruno Mars.
I will go watch 70s movies now. Now speaking about it, I was like, I think it's the memories attached to the movies.
Exactly.
Not the
That's
movies
a lot
themselves.
of the times when people talk about old movies. I'm just like when people describe it, a lot of times it's people's experience trying to watch them or just watching them. And I'm like, you got to go back and set aside, get really high and watch them, and you'll be like, oh yeah, this is the shit.
I can get really high still because I don't ever get really high. I'm always like.
No, every time I'm high, I'm really high. Every time. There's never a time where I'm like, all right. I'm always just up here every single time.
You're like, I'm done.
I just panicked for the first time in a long time.
So did
I kind of knew he wasn't a weed smoker that first time you got high. You were like, is that my mom? And I was like, no, man.
That was one of the second or third time, because the first time I was laughing.
Yeah,
I was
the second or third time we were still in the garage, and you were like,
because we were in the garage with the couch, and I was like watching The Office or playing video games or some shit. I remember being like,
he was paranoid. I was like, you gotta go, man. Like, you blowing my high. You gotta get out of here. I'm scared they're gonna come downstairs too. They know where you got the weed from.
Because I remember I had the cookies.
Yeah, in the bathroom.
Oh my god.
Because I went pee with cookies in my hand. And I went pee, and I came in, and I was just like, what the fuck am I doing? And I was laughing.
You didn't start laughing till you walked in, and I looked at you and started laughing. Then you started, because you were like, oh, okay. I realized I have 10 cookies.
Because it was those little butter ones. You know what I'm talking about? They came in the blue,
10.
the grandma tin.
The sewing kit.
Yeah. And I was holding like a handful of, like the 3 different, you know how they come in white cups?
Yeah.
I was holding like 3 different white cups.
He had white cups and each like slided his fingers, but it was like both hands, so he was like that. And he just walked in the joint
and I was
his hands in the
laughing.
air.
I think that's one of the hardest one of the times I've like laughed the hardest.
Your first weed laugh, you will never. I have that on video. I got high with Ian for the first time. I have that on video. And that's
crazy.
The funny. I was crying. Like, I don't even think I could breathe. I almost got sick.
That was crazy. You have a video of it. Do you still have the video of me ripping the phone book?
Yes.
You remember when I ripped the phone book? That was crazy.
That's one of the funniest videos.
I don't think I was wearing a shirt.
It was the way he flipped the pages at the end. He tore it in half and was like, and then threw it on the ground. He was like, at the camera, he was breathing. He was like, he threw it on the ground.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my goodness. But yeah, I'll go back and watch. But the 80s, y'all gotta give me why I love the 80s. You gotta give me that.
The 80s, but that's why I was saying, in every decade, there's those bangers. And
those bangers.
Because you have 10 years, there's no doubt there's going to be bangers. You know what I mean?
Right.
That is true.
Like, let's look at...
What came out in... Did the 90s suck for movies?
The 90s was a different ball game.
I feel like the 90s sucked for movies.
I think there
Not
was...
for kids.
Right.
90s kids movies?
Different
That's
technology.
when we got the bangers.
Different
I
technology.
don't know, man.
What came out in
the
the
90s? That was like Quentin Tarantino Central.
But we're talking two genres,
Is that enough to
though.
lynch a whole generation on?
Quentin Tarantino?
Lynchpin it? That's like, but that's
You have Reservoir Dogs?
You gave us 4 for the 70s. You gotta give us more directors for the 90s.
With the 90s, you still have Scorsese.
Okay. But that's 70. I'm talking about like coming up. Like Scorsese came out in the 70s.
You have David Fincher from Seven, and he made The Game. And then you have...
7. What's in the box?
10 Things I Hate About You is the 90s.
Yes. Super banger.
You have Silence of the Lambs.
All
With
99.
the 90s, you have Fight Club, Pulp Fiction. Let me read it. The Matrix.
Mm-hmm.
99.
You got Truman Show.
99. That's another...
Silence of the Lambs. You have Shawshank Redemption. Goodfellas.
Now, Goodfellas.
Jurassic Park.
That's my mob.
Titanic. Toy Story.
Yeah.
Which is a kid's one.
Listen, man.
You have Fargo.
I love James Cameron.
90s is also Coen Brothers.
Fair. Fargo.
Mm-hmm.
Lebowski. Yeah, 90s had some bangers too.
And also,
So did any year suck for movies? Any decade did it suck for movies?
50s was not that good. They were like, relatively.
Fair.
Because every decade has its great movies.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But like 50s doesn't stand tall towards a lot of the other.
Right, but I mean, you have to factor in like production and technology and
But the 20s
and storyline.
But there's 40s movies that are
40s movies that
are
are
like just so like you have Casablanca, you have Citizen Kane and shit. I'm not a fan of Citizen Kane, but that's still.
I'm surprised to hear that from you.
I'm not
movie people who be like, yeah, Citizen Kane, dude, always.
That's the number one, but like I'm not me. I'm like that.
Yeah.
I guess I just made a lot of people mad too. But I'm all like 70, but but it's more like I don't know. I love a lot of 40s movies and 50s movies. There's a lot of 50s movies that like only like if you like a movie from the 50s, you're probably one of the few people that like that movie because 50s doesn't have a lot of like the fucking hitters. You know what I mean?
Could you name any directors from the 50s?
Some like. I can name like foreign like directors and shit like that because like when it comes to movies, especially the 60s, it's the 60s and the 70s are two of the greatest decades ever. It goes 70s and then 60s right after because the 60s overseas was like fucking everywhere. Japan. There's three places really. It's just Japan France, and Sweden.
I even watched some of those movies, like the old Japanese movies from like back then.
Perfect.
Yeah, I'm like, this is wonderful.
They're so good.
The sound didn't kill me. It was like even back then they were like everything has to be perfect. Even the sound in those movies was like, damn, y'all mixed the fuck out of this joint, dog.
And I don't know, it's just the 60s foreign movies, especially like Japanese
Italian
horror,
movies.
Italian movies in the 40s and 50s are really good. A lot of them are very, I mean, because there's Italian neorealism. So Italian movies are a direct aftershock from World War II.
Yeah.
So they're all like, there's literally, I think it's Rome Open City is the name of the movie. And it's literally about like a guy or a girl going through the wreckage of like the town. And then there's like movies about like little kids and the struggle of like getting a job. There's parents getting divorced and shit like that. There's just like there's so many like there's real drama in Italian movies in the 40s and early 50s, and then 50s into the 60s or 50s, whereas a lot of the influential directors today or at the time too were kind of starting, and that's where it's like you find out about the people. You find out about their filmography and you're like, oh, they made movies in the 50s too. But it's really the 60s where like a lot of people were like
West Side Story, Fistful of Dollars, Lolita.
Lolita was a good Kubrick one.
Psycho.
That's Lolita is like Kubrick's underrated one.
Doctor Strangelove.
Doctor Strangelove's like
2001: A Space Odyssey.
Satire.
Kubrick during that time was just like
Kubrick
banger,
or
banger,
Space,
banger.
on a Space Odyssey.
That was 69, I think.
And then The Birds.
That's why I said I'll give you the 60s.
Alfred
the 60s,
Hitchcock.
I'm like, sit me in the seat, and I got some 60s movies.
Right. Breakfast at Tiffany's. That was 1961.
Yeah,
I think those were movies that my grandmother bought on VHS, and I put in a VHS on a summer break. Because I was like...
Yeah, because 60s you have the Japanese samurai movies, and you have the Japanese horror movies, which are like some of my favorite movies ever, which I actually was about to watch.
The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
All the spaghetti westerns were popping there. The French New Wave was happening.
Night of the Living Dead.
The aesthetics
original.
of the 60s.
The George A. Romero.
Yeah, that was 69 too, or 68. 68 and 69 blend together for me, as far as movies.
That's right about the 60s too.
But there's a lot of like French New Wave movies, like the different directors, like.
Cause I still fuck with an Italian movie. Like their modern movies are still good. Like they made some good horror movies on Shudder.
The French
horror movies.
French horror. There is one called Eyes Without a Face.
I was just looking at it.
Yeah.
I was like, that's the one.
That one's so good. That one's perfect.
Yeah, that just looks like it'll be like, I like that.
But for the French musicals we watched one, The Umbrellas of Cherbourg. That one's really good.
Yeah, those.
And then there's French, like, what I liked about French New Wave is that, though, again, this is my opinion. There's plenty of reasons to like movies, but French New Wave is people were making it themselves. That's why I liked watching the That's why I'm not a fan of the American movies in the 40s, 50s, and 60s because it's all Paramount and shit like that. But when you there's great movies that were made by that, but when you watch French New Wave movies from the 60s, it's all like this is when I'm watching it, it's like you're paying attention to the story, yeah, but like when you rewatch these movies, you're like, they did this, like this is a group of friends, right? Like making this shit for free, like for basic little to no money, right? And it's just like they're doing this, and you see they're out in the street, right?
Which is where you get John Carpenter's Halloween.
Yeah, when you see Scorsese making Mean Streets, like one of his first. I say it's his first movie, but Martin Scorsese's first feature movie is called Boxcar Bertha, which is a hilarious name, but it's like an exploitation movie, and I remember Martin Scorsese showed it, I think, to Brian De Palma and another independent filmmaker named John Cassavetes. And John Cassavetes is known for like being anti-studio. He's known to be like, I'm only make shit by myself, like on my own. And he was doing that in the 50s, 60s, I think his last movie was in the 80s.
How did he finance it?
He was an actor.
Oh, okay.
So he would be in theater, and then he would be in some movies.
He would just stack that paper and just be like...
and he'd be like, all right, I'm going to make my own movie.
I love hearing stories. Like, people have been doing this kind of thing. Like, we're not the generation that starts that kind of stuff. When you hear about, like, Rudy Ray and all of them, Dolomite, and like, we're not the first generation to be like, nah, bitch, I'm going to do this shit myself. Yeah, way harder back then, for sure.
John Cassavetes made, like, crime movies, like, all by himself. Like, these highbrow, not highbrow, but more of just like you would think he had like millions of dollars to do that, but it's just like the way he got these actors, like his friends, right? Or just be like, hey, you want to be in my movie? Like, I'm not trying to make money off of it. I'm just trying to make the movie, which is like how you're supposed to.
Also during that time was like Clint Eastwood takeover with every Western. Like that was Americana.
Yeah. Like, you watch Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, like, you go to Rome, make these spaghetti westerns, and come back to America, and that's where you get Dirty Harry and all that shit. And then you become Clint Eastwood.
Was he ever in Italy, Clint Eastwood?
Yeah, that in the 60s.
Yeah, so he did, like,
He did that.
So was that supposed to be, like, was he supposed to be one of the inspirations for Rick Dalton?
One of, like, his arc. You know what I mean?
Yeah, okay. Because I was like, damn, that sounds just like the fucking... Then you come back, you just grumpy old, like, cigarette smoking.
Yeah. That's where he is. And then you make the movies you make now.
Yeah.
Like Gran Torino and
shit, like $1 Million Baby.
You just set, baby. Somebody from a cult on fire.
And then The Mule, which is an insane movie.
Right.
And now he's directing movies. Clint Eastwood. Or he's been directing movies.
And his son is acting.
You suck, Scott Eastwood.
He's a shitty actor.
You suck, Scott Eastwood. I don't like you. Ever since I saw you on Joe Rogan, I don't like you.
I think I started his episode because I watched a movie with him in it. Not Fast. I found out later he was in Fast and Furious.
I completely forgot about that. I only know him from Suicide Squad. He's one of the Spec Ops guys. Because when you see him, you're like,
Suicide Squad?
The original one, not the Suicide Squad. Suicide Squad, yeah. He's when you see him, you're like, oh, there's Clint Eastwood's son. You can just see it in his face. You can definitely see it.
Because he was in a Western movie called Diablo. That wasn't a terrible story, but, like, he's not a good actor.
Is it that he's not a good actor, or are we comparing him to his dad?
No, he's not a good actor. Okay, I think he's not a good actor.
I just wanted to make that distinction because that's like saying like somebody was like John Davis not a good actor. You're like, hold on now, just relax.
Whoa,
that's crazy talk.
It's like relax. Are you comparing him to his father?
Are you comparing him to the greatest?
Right. It's like let's just relax there, buddy.
He knows that. Okay.
I ain't my goddamn daddy.
I think Rob was the one that said that's probably why he does John David.
Yes.
So people aren't like. So if it's John Washington,
like Ice Cube's son,
and they started adding on Washington when they found out that was his son. I don't even think he went. I think he went by John David for the longest time. Then they were like,
he went by John David or John David Washington in the NFL.
I forgot he played for USC.
He played for the Rams.
That's tight.
The St. Louis Rams.
That's cool.
He was a running back?
Yeah.
He must be strong in the motherfucker.
He was like, "No, I'm tired."
That's why he was perfect for Tenet. Just fucking.
Yeah, when you see him running,
That's why the minute you said it, I'm like, oh, that's why he was like,
he was going.
like it was nothing to him.
Yeah.
Cleared that whole amphitheater like it was nothing. Ran from one side to the other. They was like, go upstairs now. Now come back downstairs. He was just running the whole time.
Yeah, Tenet. All right, we're not gonna start on
No.
Tenet.
But I did watch that.
Yeah, I finally got to watch it. It was awesome. Every time
It's a good movie.
Every
isn't it?
time it's
It is
good.
really- no,
It's a
it is really
multi-watch
good.
movie for sure.
It was really good. I liked it a lot more than I thought I would.
So 2000s. What are those? What are we saying for those for movies?
That's one of the lower tiers.
Yeah.
That's
Fair
where it's
enough.
like there's bangers, yes,
That was
Yeah.
that's the decade of long ass intros.
but it's like,
Oh my
damn.
God.
We were just
Because
watching The
that's all.
Covenant.
That's,
We were watching The Covenant, bro.
It was a 3-minute credit intro.
You know why? Because it's hard watching those movies. Because it's weird. It's weird seeing those movies. Because that's like the introduction to like all like purely digital productions, and like they're stepping away from film. So it's hard to like see it in the way they're color grading these movies. A lot of rom-coms. So
A
all
lot of rom-com.
so they already look like bright. A lot of
I love
comedies.
it.
We got a lot. That's the thing about the 2000s. People associate it with comedies, and people associate it with rom-coms
Yeah.
because they're all
Definitely.
bright.
And like coming of age stories.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You got to do the camera.
Oh,
But-
that's why I thought you were pointing at the camera. You are. I thought you were saying what's up
Like
to the
gang
camera.
shit.
Yeah, I was like, oh yeah, what's up, man? Like, you just keep
But,
going like that.
How's your guys' monitor though? Is it dark? Can you see you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think this is kind of messing up the ISO.
The sun's going down.
Yeah.
Sun's coming down.
We just watched that. That was
The
funny.
Law Abiding Citizen, that was 2009.
Yeah, a lot of
09
it.
doesn't really
Stock
like.
market crash played a heavy
Ooh,
toll on it.
Yeah.
No. I think
Inglorious Bastards.
and Iraq.
we'd have
That
to
was
go.
2009.
We'd have to
Iraq,
go
Afghanistan,
2000.
all
We'd have to go
that.
2003.
9/11. Sorry,
2004.
I'm talking over you.
Yeah, 2003, 2004 would be like a good.
2004
gauge.
was a fire year
Would
that
be a
had
good
collateral.
gauge.
2004 had
2001
collateral.
movies. Let's see. Hannibal, Jeepers Creepers, Donnie Darko,
Donnie Darko. Okay.
Jason X. That dropped the stock way down. Jason X was terrible. Oh shit, 13 Ghosts. Bad movie though. I'll admit.
But like,
I love that movie.
Like
but it's
no,
not a
because
good
here's the
movie.
thing: you try to do it objectively.
Okay.
Because like there's movies like 13 Ghosts that are like banger, but it's like, but as far as where movies are at, you know what I mean.
Tomb Raider came out 2001. A Beautiful Mind. That was a banger.
Yeah.
The Oceans
They have
movies.
so when you're talking 2000s, you're talking Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Yes.
The Mummies.
You're talking franchise.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Fast and the Furious.
Yeah. Big franchises.
Love it.
Lord of the
Big
Rings.
franchises.
You got Lord of the Rings.
People spending
Yeah.
out money out
We
here.
talking about $1 billion franchises.
You got
Money.
Batman Begins and Dark Knight, and then Dark Knight Rises comes out to 2012.
Probably in production still in 2009 though.
And then Avatar came out 2009.
Yeah.
X-Men.
2009 was
But
a great year.
2007, if we're talking, 2007 is probably the best year out of all those, out of any 2000s, because you got No Country for Old Men, Zodiac, There Will Be Blood.
Then number 23 when everybody was like, holy shit, Jim Carrey.
You also got,
Yeah.
you also still have Quentin Tarantino rolling through with Kill Bill and Death Proof and Inglourious Bastards.
American Gangster came out in 2007.
That's-
Damn.
Wow.
That's another one.
Damn.
That's a good one.
You also got
Super bad?
You also got
Game
that's
over.
that's another comedy.
Another comedy.
You also got
Transformers.
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 Beowulf.
No, that's not.
I am Beowulf. I just like, you know why I liked it? Because I was literally reading that book as that movie came out. So I was like, fuck yes, I ain't got to read the fucking book. National Treasure? Oh, that was the second one. Oh, Ghost Rider came out. Yeah. Fantastic Four, Rise of the Silver Surfer. There were a lot of bad movies in 2000.
They were trying shit, dude.
Also,
There were a lot of bad movies.
They were
in
like, let's try to
2000.
make some money.
The Rock hit heavy.
The Rock
2000.
took
Yeah.
over. The Rundown.
The Rundown.
You got Walking Tall, Gridiron Gang. You got Southland Tales. You got what else? You got 2000s. The Game Plan.
Mm-hmm.
You got
The Tooth Fairy.
The Tooth Fairy.
It was
Yes.
also the year of fucking spoofs, epic movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause that was all scary
Scary
movies.
movie.
Fury.
Because spoofs are not a thing anymore because of the internet. You got to think there's not the internet in the 2000s.
Right.
They weren't making sketches
Not another
yet.
So
teen
by the
movie.
time the movie comes out, those jokes that they're making fun of aren't relevant anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But at the time, there's no real internet, so you can make fun of Brad Pitt and Angelina, in 2006 because everybody saw Mr.
Right.
and Mrs. Smith.
Also Martin Lawrence.
Martin Lawrence, Nothing to Lose. Was that the 90s?
I'm talking about Delta Farce came out in 2007. That was the year of
American Pie.
2007 dramas. I Am Legend.
Ooh.
I'm gonna go 2005. 2005 was a shitty year because it had like 3 good movies.
Yeah, I'm about to say. I'm even thinking like music wise, 2005 was a bad year too.
They had War of the Worlds, Walk the Line, Brokeback Mountain.
Batman Begins. That came out 05.
Yeah.
V for Vendetta.
And Sin City.
Get Rich or Die Trying came out.
But is that a good movie though?
We just love 50 Cent.
We just love 50 Cent.
We just love 50 Cent.
So
I
2000s
can't do this from her.
But 2008,
stock market crash.
yeah, you had The Dark Knight.
You had
You
Iron
had
Man,
Wall-E,
Twilight.
Iron
You only
Man.
said that because of Twilight, Menda.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Twilight.
Mm-hmm.
The Incredible Hulk came out.
The Eric Bana one?
No, that's Hope.
Oh, okay. All right.
That was 2003 though.
Slumdog
Yeah. 'Cause I
Millionaire.
remember
Or 2002.
There was not a lot of time between those two movies.
2002 or 2003? Which one was?
Cloverfield.
That was
Hurt
2003.
Locker.
Was the Hulk
The
or Hulk?
Hulk.
Forgetting Sarah Marshall.
Also 2003, you have Daredevil.
They should bring him back in a multiverse movie. Eric
Bana?
Yeah.
Because he's not a bad actor.
No.
He's actually a pretty good actor.
He was the biggest Hulk that existed.
But 2010s is also another golden era. Because you have... My brain hurts.
2010s is like Parasite, Joker, Midsommar,
Those
Get
all came
Out.
out in 2019. Let's Get Out.
Whiplash, Lady Bird,
Why does that seems to be
Her,
theme that we're
Django.
talking about in each decade? It's like the last 2 years of each decade are like
they go off.
just non-stop. Just even in the 70s, you're like, damn, the last like 2 years of the 70s, those were fucking bangers.
The 90s.
The last 2 years of the 2000s.
Is it
you're
always
like,
a year before the election?
Did you?
2008, 2012, 20.
Because 84 was Reagan Bush. And so you go 80. So 79 was a good year. Great year. 2019 before Joe Biden.
Exactly.
So that means next year, 2023, we are preparing.
Because we got to have some bangers of movies next year. We're about to have some
Coming out of the
heavy
pandemic.
hitters.
I might have unlocked something.
I think that's why I looked at you like that. I was like, I think you might have actually figured out
Crack
a correlation.
the fucking code.
Every 4 years, a
We gotta
year
protect
before
you
the
now.
election.
There's some fire movies that come out because
I
you
think
get so
because-
much pent up of those 3 years.
I think
of
because people are aware by the time they start production, you're a couple years into the election.
Exactly.
You get a feel for the atmosphere that
Mhm.
everybody's at.
Yes.
And then you know when to drop that shit.
And then you're writing it because starting in writing, not even production, you're writing it in the middle of this atmosphere of like, say president just got elected. You start writing, say 2020, Joe Biden gets elected in November. You start writing in 2021. Maybe it takes a while for you to write it. Then production starts 2022, and the movie gets released in 2023.
And that means the year before.
The year before 2024, you get these banger
Before
movies.
we get a new.
So you're living in this. God,
I think you really did like.
This is the first-
artistically,
It's
that makes
Twilight
sense.
Zone.
Artistically, that makes a lot of sense.
because damn. It's just,
Name a movie. We'll figure this out. Name one of your favorite movies from the 70s.
from the 70s.
Yeah. You already said it, 78, 70. So Taxi Driver came out when? 76.
What about Jaws?
Jaws came out 78, you said, or 75?
When did Jaws?
75 it came out.
When did Godfather 2 come out? Probably the greatest movie of all time.
74. I like 2. I'm not gonna lie. I like
2 is the
better than
best one.
I always thought 2 was 1. Maybe that's also why.
1974 was The Godfather Part 2, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre,
Dog Day Afternoon. When did Dog Day Afternoon? That was 76 probably.
Young
Or
Frankenstein.
75. That had to be 75.
75.
75 is probably one of the greatest movie years ever. I would love to do a 75 movie draft.
Yeah.
The 1974 United States elections were held on November 5th. The elections occurred in the wake of the Watergate scandal. So you're talking about nuts political.
Because
time.
All the President's Men. When did All the President's Men come out?
I just closed out of Google for some reason. All the President's Men.
That was like 76.
6.
Yep.
That was about Reagan.
I think you might have figured out something. Robert Redford, that's my nigga, dude.
He's the man. Jeremiah Johnson, when did that come out? Look up Jeremiah Johnson.
And you might actually be on to something. 72.
Election year.
Election year.
Whoa.
Damn.
All right.
I don't even know what to do after that. Like, what do you say after that? We had an hour 11. We might be able to call it after this. This was a great episode.
This wasn't even about Halloween.
Not even. You're welcome. I started Nate up. Room. That's a producer for you. I knew that would get you going. I was like, let me say the 70s thing. I agree, but I also could have just kept that to myself. I said, let me say that out loud on the pod.
But scary next week. Next week, I'm gonna see Black Adam tomorrow.
I was gonna go see that without you guys, but I was gonna do that yesterday.
Black Adam, and then we're gonna do the Rock Hall of Fame. It's happening.
When I work out, I think about The Rock.
Yeah.
The Rock Hall of Fame next week. Are we doing it?
Yes.
It's got
Hold on. Let me.
Because when that comes out, it'll be November already.
Yeah. And then we go into
November.
Black Panther, Wakanda Forever.
Oh fuck! That's right around the corner.
But I didn't even buy my tickets yet, bro. We ain't gonna be able to see it. I didn't buy my tickets yet. Them shit sold out.
Yeah, expect a late episode on
Yeah,
Wakanda
that shit
Forever.
sold out. Damn.
So The Rock, okay.
I hope they don't do no sexist shit.
Are we
know
doing?
Shuri's a Black Panther now. I hope people are like, this movie sucked.
So are we doing The Rock lead roles? Just like leading, because he
Or any Rock movie.
Was his? I don't know. The last supporting role I can remember him in
Is Be Cool?
Is Be Cool. That's the last supporting role.
but because he was too big. To
And
be
he
a
was still like basically a main character.
And the reason
Or
why
the Fast and
it's just
Furious
that everybody else was bigger than him. He was still a main character. It's just that you were working with.
Or Pain and Gain,
everybody.
he's supporting. Or is that just a trio of?
It's just
There's
I think
three
trio.
leads.
3 leads. Because you got Marky Mark wasn't that popping at the time. He ain't had shit since.
Yeah.
Who
he
would
was
have?
on the
Who
low
would
point.
have? Who would have got top bill?
Probably Marky
Anthony
Mark.
Mackie. He was the most popular actor. No, not over the Rock at that time.
But like,
He was number
I
2
say
on the call
top bill
sheet.
because Marky. I would think it would be Marky Mark, The Rock,
When did
Anthony
Pain and Gain
Mackie.
come out?
2014,
Oh,
2013.
What did Marky Mark have before that? Planet of the Apes.
Mm-hmm.
The Shooter.
I mean,
The
everything
Shooter.
else.
He was just Marky Mark.
Yeah.
Right?
He was just
He's
Mar-
number 1. You were just more known.
You were
Right.
just popular, and
Because
but the
Anthony
Ryan.
Mackie was on his rise after that.
And I think Pain and Gain was one of the first movies where people were like, okay, The Rock's an actor.
Mm-hmm. Tony Shalhoub.
So before Pain and Gain, he had Ted, and The Fighter, and the other guys.
Okay. No, Ted and the Fighter were.
And he also had Four Brothers.
Right.
Oh,
That's
Right.
not.
my bad, Marky Mark. My
Right.
bad.
And Shooter. He was also in Max Payne, the movie. The video game adaptation.
Somebody just brought that up on TikTok. They was like, how come no, that wasn't TikTok. That was us. We said that don't nobody do that no more. Like, how come people don't make
game?
video games?
I would love that.
Like, they don't do either anymore. Like, movie adaptations.
I would love movies into video games. I would love that.
Bring that back. The Matrix game?
The Lord of the Rings game?
The Lord of the Rings game was a fucking amazing.
It was crazy.
That was like pre-Skyrim.
Even the Star Wars Episode 3 video game was amazing.
They had the racer. They had the Star Wars racer game.
The Pod Racer, yeah.
The Pod Racer game.
Yeah.
They bring that back.
Yeah. Yeah. Fuck. That's such a... They're missing out, too, on all these franchises.
Yeah. Because you could have did Alien versus Predator.
But because you know what? I bet you people are scared because the Avengers game sucked. Because you know what it is?
That is true.
It didn't have
wasn't
nothing
produced
to
by
do.
a guy.
Nothing had nothing to do with the movie.
All you had was licensing.
That's all you had was a username. Not the same story, not the same people, not the same voices, none of that shit.
And maybe the type of game. What if they made like a Mortal Kombat, like Marvel versus Capcom, but just Marvel?
Just Marvel. That's what Multiverses is. Is everything that WB owns.
And then but make it a video game and just...
They used to have...
Remember Mortal Kombat versus DC?
Mm-hmm.
What a game.
Injustice.
And then they made
great
Injustice.
Game. Injustice is one of the greatest games ever.
DC's on. Just do it, Marvel. People will. DC did it, and
all
DC
the Batman
sucks.
Games. All the Batman games.
All the Batman games.
DC wins
but those weren't off of movies, though.
No,
that's the thing. I think Avengers trying to do a story like a Ultimate Alliance type of.
Yes,
that
was terrible.
Ultimate Alliance was cool, but it's not. When you play, I tried playing it.
So what about Resident Evil?
That was game in the movie.
Game in the movie. Not movie to game. There were 3 games out before they even made the first Resident Evil.
So you
movie.
think they should do game to movie? What would be your first pick?
No, movie to game.
Or
movie to game.
Game or movie to game.
Movie to game.
Ooh.
Game to movie, like you can have like Ghosts. That's not fair because games are coming out with storylines that are like. I just cried on Ghost of Tsushima.
You beat it?
I didn't beat it. I cried when his nanny died.
Oh, okay.
When his nanny died, I was literally like, yo, I'm fucking crying at a game because it was just shot like a fucking movie.
Shot like a movie.
He's like, Yukio. And she don't answer him. And it's just like, damn, bro.
We're talking about 60s movies. Akira Kurosawa. Those Japanese samurai movies are top tier. Top tier. Like, literally, like, if you watch Seven Samurai, that's the Ghost of Tsushima. Pretty much. Like, the opening mission is Seven Samurai opening scene.
There's a part where they make you ride through, like, just fields of, like, lilies. And it's one of the most beautiful shots you'll ever see. And it's a video game.
Indiana Jones a game?
They made it into a game.
Yeah,
I'm
did
pretty
they make
sure.
it into a game?
Like
but that was like 80s. That was like Super
Park?
Nintendo. Definitely made that a game.
That's
a arcade game.
I want to say that was a game.
Oh, okay,
arcade game. Terminator, one of the most famous arcade games. Aliens, one of the most famous arcade games.
The Alien one is cool, but the Terminator Salvation one.
When I get enough money, we're getting that in our house.
I would love that.
Like, to be able to beat Terminator would be a life goal.
My dream is to beat it. I've never beat it. Every time we went to Dave & Buster's last time,
and we played it.
Me and Rob were on a mission.
We were playing that for a long time. And me and Miguel beat House of the Dead.
What about movies into games, though?
Yeah, we're back to movies into games. Dang.
Would you want what movie into a game? I would think, or no.
So it has to be something original. Because Marvel doesn't. It's not
a game into what game into a movie? Ghost of Tsushima.
Fallout would be a great movie if you could make it.
I was about to say Skyrim, but we just got the Northman.
Yeah, and that was Skyrim.
Pretty much, yeah.
Even the Berserker thing is like straight out of Skyrim,
And then, what other games?
Not Fallout wouldn't make
Mafia
a good movie.
3.
You know who is trying that? Is Amazon Prime. They're actually trying the games into movies because they're doing like what show is that?
Do they have a Zelda movie?
No,
they don't.
You just fucked me up. If they had a Zelda movie, I would show up with the fucking hat on, the little green hat and a tunic. You would see me in a fucking tunic.
They don't?
Hold on. I had to stop.
I just thought about fucking What's that movie with Will Ferrell? God damn it.
Elf.
When he's fucking with Danny McBride.
No, there's no. You know what they are making? This is topical.
Land of the Lost.
Land of the Lost, when he was like eunuch the intruder, he was like, he's wearing a tunic. That means he's untrustworthy.
They're making that Super Mario Brothers movie.
Yeah, I heard that people are saying that that's going to be a good. Sonic was a good movie.
Sonic was.
Okay,
cool.
so maybe we're not being dead. Sonic is the first foray back in.
But that's like arcade. We're not talking. We're talking video games.
Yeah. You saying he's like fuck Sega?
He's like, no.
We're talking about 3D where you can move left to right, not side scroller.
I'm talking video games like. When the game comes out, or when the movie comes out, you are making a game.
Yes, okay. Because that's what happened with all those movies back then. The movie would drop, and then the game would drop like 2 weeks later.
Would you have to do Call of Duty just because?
No, that'd be a terrible movie.
I think they tried.
Modern Warfare, the story. People love the Modern Warfare storyline.
That'd be a crazy.
They
tried to do Halo, or they made a Halo show.
They made a Halo show. People said that Halo show is fire, too.
Nerds loved that show.
They said that show is fire. Like, even in the group chat with Sammy, they was like, you gotta watch that Halo show. I was never big into Halo. Even as an Xbox guy?
Yeah, I was always Call of Duty. And people were like, you gotta hop in Halo. Well, Josh is big on Halo.
Yeah.
I've never been...
He has older brothers that played Halo, though.
Yeah.
Chris didn't play games.
No. We played skateboarding video games. When I was little and he was playing video games, we would play, like, Madden and, like, Tony Hawk.
Yeah.
And that was about it. And then some Call of Duty, like... Before online, we were playing Call of Duty like story modes. But like do you remember the Black Ops storyline about like JFK?
My bad. Morrow texted me.
Would you do BioShock?
The underwater one? That would be kind of cool.
Yes, the movie. There was inklings of that. Cause you know why? Cause she's only ever watched me play. So it's like a movie to her. You're watching me play. It's just like a movie to you. So Skyrim.
I'm always asking you where we at when I can look right there.
You know what? None of us have ever even.
Right.
Well, we're so like that's a good camera.
And then they just came out with The Witcher, which was.
We haven't been recording this whole time anyway.
And we're rolling again.
Yeah, we're rolling.
Mendo.
The audio cut out, guys.
So BioShock.
You got to get that in there, huh?
Yeah.
BioShock the movie would be great. Let's sign off.
All right, Mendo.
15.
Sign us out. We're at episode 82. This is episode 82 of None of This Really Matters, guys. Where's Mary?
She gone.
Oh, she left.
So, episode 82?
Yeah, that's this one.
Like, comment,
subscribe.
Subscribe.
And share. Like if you're listening on Spotify or some shit, or if you made it this far, do this. Screenshot your screen of you listening to this,
please,
and post it on your Instagram story.
And sorry for YouTube, guys. I know I've been like fucking slacking on that, but the Anchor, because Anchor covers so many platforms, it kind of just like it. I don't know. It just doesn't. I need to write something
screenshot
down.
And say, ha ha ha, this is hilarious. And that's it on your Instagram story. Ja.
Yeah.
That's for the
comment.
Ganga.
If you think we're wrong, let us know.
If you think Rob is wrong,
please let me know if you think I'm wrong.
All right. Sign us out, Menda. Go. It's all you. Last words.
Oh, last words of the...
Yeah, we're signing off.
Okay, until next time.
Until next time. What do we got going on next week?
Next week is... The Rock.
Hall of Fame.
All
right, Menda. This is episode 82 of None of This Really Matters.
See y'all.
The Rock Hall of Fame next week. Peace.